What an absolute mess. That's a disaster. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is maintenance day on the XTL30. I've got 8 hours on the machine, and all the documentation that you sign whenever you buy it says that you will do your first oil change at 10 hours or the warranty is null and void. So I called my text my rep that sold me the machine and just confirmed everything, said what I was going to do, and really I was asking some questions about some of the filters. We'll go over those in a minute, just to make sure I understood where they were located. Obviously the fuel filter, the oil filter, and one of the hydraulic filters is evident. You can see it. So that was easy. The air filter also very easy. But the other hydraulic filter I was asking, is it in the tank? How do I drop this down? You know, what's the procedure? Because the manual doesn't really tell you. And he's like, you got to change the engine oil. So I said, no hydraulic fluid. He said, no hydraulic fluid engine oil. I said, okay, great. So we're going to do that today. I've got my oil that I'm going to use for my other diesel engines. I use Mobile Delvic and have had great success with this. We're going to go over kind of what the book says, and then we're actually going to go through and do an oil change. This is the first one I've done. I've kind of planned everything out on where it's going to go, how I'm going to do this, what's going to happen. But hey, you know, we got to get it done. And the machine has about 12 inches of ground clearance, so that's nice. My typical oil catch can couldn't make it, so I had to have this little bucket. I need to go ahead and get started on this oil change for the engine. Eventually we'll come back and we'll replace the air filter. We'll do a hydraulic service on it. It's got some while before I need to do that. We'll do a fuel filter change on it. But I'm going to move over and we're going to start taking the covers off of it so that we can get to the oil filter. We'll loosen it first and let it start draining out. Then we'll go ahead and get underneath and we'll crack the bolt and drain the oil pan out. Once that's done, we can put it all back together and fill it back up. So let's move to that now. Maybe a little hard to see me, but I really want you to see this process here. These bolts that are here, when you get it, all have these markings like it's been checked and torqued. These were loose, like really loose. So I have some lock washers that I'm going to put back in whenever I'm done. Right now though, we're going to take these off so we can get into here. Got to get down to the filter. They're not super tight now, and I've already retightened them several times. All right, with those off, you take the cover off your motor, and then I'll bring you around so you can see, but I'm gonna have to get a light so I can put it down in, and then I'm gonna show you a little trick of a flex funnel that I purchased. So this flex funnel here, you can bend in a variety of different ways. My goal though is to get it bent in a way where I can get it under the filter, so whenever I loosen it, it'll drain the oil down into the pan. Probably gonna have to have a filter wrench of some kind to get that off though. It's always tighter from the factory. In the book it says tighten it just by hand, but it's definitely tighter from the factory. All right, we got a pair of jaw pliers here. That should definitely help us. So I'm gonna show you where this is at, then I'm gonna just move you back because not really room for me to get you in here and me as well. So if we shine right down in there, there is our filter right there. You'll see the dust off of it. That is got a coolant line right beside it, so it's definitely in there. So because of that, I'm going to leave you there, and I'm going to try and get in here and get this to loosen up. They said you could go through here, but I don't know that my hand would be any easier through there than here. So let's try. Not easy, I'll give you that much. But I think this is gonna work. Let's get our side right. I'm gonna put this down in there underneath to catch the oil. I think that's got it. Let's look in the back here. Okay, I've confirmed that that red flex filter there, whatever runs off the block, is going to hit that filter and run to one of the out holes in the sub chassis. And I got it. That radiator hose is definitely difficult to work around. Okay. Boy, getting those in and out of there, not easy. Got the oil cap loose. Now I'm going to try and spin this filter off by hand. Oh, that is really difficult, but we got it. All right. So here is our factory Kubota filter. You see, had to clamp onto it pretty good to get it to come off, but we got it off. It's off, off. Good, good, good. Set it over here to the side. And I'm gonna go look under the back and check the oil draining out of just the filter, right? Filter location. And just so you know, there was only just a couple of drops of oil that came out of the filter. Let me get the new filter and we'll get it screwed on. So our new Kubota oil filter here is wrapped in plastic. Pull that off. Genuine Kubota parts. Part number HH160-23093. So I need to get a little of this fresh oil to put on the ring. Typically, on my other diesel trucks, I will pre-fill the filter. But I do not believe there is any way to pre-fill this filter. Got some oil on my finger. I'm gonna oil this O-ring down really good. Now, one thing you'll see, I mean, this motor is used in Kubota lawn mowers and the B series tractors, I believe. As they always say, you want to make sure when you take that off, you've got the filter gasket on there, because otherwise your next one isn't going to screw on right and it's not going to seal right. So let's see if I can get this back in here where it's going to go. Well, kids, I'm going to tell you, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. It's a blind spot, but I was able to get it on there and back the threads off to make sure I didn't cross thread it on there, and it's screws on super smooth. So let me get down there. They say you get it tight and then you turn it a quarter of a turn. So we got it tight. We're going to turn it a quarter of a turn, and hopefully we've got an oil filter back on. That is done. Now, how about them apples? Okay, let's go back. I'll move the camera and get you in there. So here's your air filter over here. It's got the same setup to pull off as a Donaldson, just not a Donaldson. This is that one cartridge filter for that, and I don't like that design at all. I'd much rather a screw-on hydraulic filter. So eventually one day I'll take that to a hydraulic shop and have them help me get all the fittings right, and I'll find some way that I can come back and mount a more traditional hydraulic spin-on filter. So didn't need this. Great. Hopefully coming off next time that won't be near as tight. So I'm moving to the back here, and we are going to look at the 14 millimeter nut that is holding the oil for the oil pan drain pan. So I've got this pulled out, and you can see that there's just a little bit of oil right there. Not much at all. Some dirt and grease from the bottom, but this thing just cleans up nice. So wasn't as needed as I thought, but hey, it's okay. And checking our oil ahead of time, you know, we were full. So I'm going to lay that dipstick there. All right. Great. Okay. Yeah, it'd be much nicer if this whole canopy came up. This right here, oh my gosh, working on this would be so much easier. Or better yet, if it would fold down, then you could get into this easy. Or if it would taco or something, I don't know. This access is what you need. Makes looking at this motor so much easier. Okay, everyone, here we are down here under the machine. Oh, I'm gonna get my bucket out of the way here and do my best to show you what we're looking at here. Let me get a flashlight if I can. So that's the bottom drain bolt, and I have got a socket. Yeah, it's hard to get to. I've got a socket on the other one, but can you see that socket there? There it is. All right, so there's a socket on that other one. So I've got you got a long extension. That's a 14 millimeter bolt. And I got a long extension here for us to use to get that. Let me see if you can kind of see now how I have that done. So I've got that long extension going in here through the back so I can crack that nut loose. So it is it's one of those things where you kind of got this vanity panel right here, and that's not needed. It's just got some 13 millimeter bolts holding it in there. It's not part of the frame that's holding the radiator. It's just kind of there as a vanity piece so you don't see into the machine. So I don't know, you could take that off and get to this bolt a lot easier, but I'm using this 14 millimeter on a long socket to break that. So see if I can set you right here. Nope. All right, well, I'm going to put you back up on the tripod and just have you look down at us. Okay. You have to take my word for it. Put on. That's tight. Oh, good. That snaps what you're looking for. Okay. So I've got a 14 millimeter on a swivel right here. Now I'm going to get down with my hands and go ahead and thread that bolt out. And I should have oil that comes out. See if I can. Yep. You can see right there. Yep. Oh. Boy, this is not a easy hand position. I think next time I'm going to take that vanity panel off. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that's not going to be the easiest thing to get out without making a mess. Almost got it. There it is. Ooh, goodness, get my hand out. Son of a... Oh. Well, it's coming out all over. It's even coming out the back here. Okay. So that hole is not lined up to come out where it should. What an absolute mess. This is bad. Ugh. So your drain bolt is not magnetic. There were no metal shavings on it, but what a mess. Yep. If you do an oil change, take the little vanity panel off. That's going to be the way to go. Then you can use that flex funnel, put it in there. It'd be a clean oil change, because this is an absolute mess. You know, it would have taken almost nothing to turn around and put that, cut that hole out bigger underneath the bolt, but they didn't do it. That's a disaster. The other thing you could look at doing is getting an extended oil drain hose. I'll look into one of those for the next oil change, because then you could run it out the back and do a lot of other options, because this is just horrid. Oh. I'm going to see what it takes to get that vanity plate off. Yeah, they're just real little screws. Hard to see. What do you know? The screw's loose. No way. Can't be loose. Okay. It's still drip draining oil. There should be 6, but there's only 5 installed. I don't know that you'd have enough clearance for a ratcheting wrench. So this open end really kind of fits the need. Not very long, but man, lots of threads. Oklahoma's had massive amounts of rain. So we've got rain and mayflies, which means we've got mayflies and mosquitoes. And you definitely got to finagle it around. I have to tie this shelf up here, otherwise it hits you in the head, so we'll have a project where we fix that. Ah, there it is. Excellent. So this is the inside of the vanity panel. Got some heat shielding on it. That's what it looks like. Now, let me wipe my hands and I'll bring it down here to see what's underneath that. The only machine I know to compare this against, because all the videos online, is a Durette B1000. And there was a young lady in the tree business that had to do some work on hers, and then Life in the Woods had to do some work on his, and their engine bay is tight. Tight. But so you guys can see in there, there's our drain hole, and it just gushes out. Doesn't line up well at all. But now you can see the engine's mounted up, and we got a bunch of mud and dirt from using the machine in here. There's our drive motors. So yeah, so that's what we're dealing with. But now that's almost all out, and we can work on getting oil back in it. That's not easy to deal with, and the way it's there and the way it's positioned, that's pretty hard. So let me clean up my mess. I've got oil everywhere. I pride myself on clean oil changes, and trust me, this is not it. I might put that vanity plate back on, but not until after I can clean all of that out, because that is horrible. All right, get this back in there. Now with that off, I don't have to have a flex socket or anything. This is going to be a lot easier. I do need, though, to look and see if there was any type of copper washer on that, because if it is, it fell into the bucket. And so I'm going to go find that, and then we're going to come back. Okay, everybody, we're back. So while we were off camera, I went ahead and put the drain plug back in. There was a copper washer. The washer did fall in my bucket. I looked, and I do not have an extra copper washer. I'll get some of those so I have them on hand just for safety's sake. I'm going to leave that vanity panel, which is really a heat shield. You know, the motor gets some heat and it's going to blow it out on your feet. That's right near where your feet are when you're working the machine operating. But I'm going to leave that off, look for any leaks, make sure I clean up that. Just a tremendous mess. An oil change on this machine is messy. There's a better way, and we'll figure it out. But boy, that's messy. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start filling it back up. I've got to obviously check the oil. I think it's around either 1.3 or 1.6 gallons. So we'll keep checking. We'll check the dipstick, and we'll get that figured out. So let's move the camera and start filling up with our mobile Delvec. Got the fill cap off. It's in the back of the engine. Really easy to get to. I have just a hyper tough Walmart large engine funnel. Works well for most of the things I use it for. It looks like it's going to work well for this. I may have to hold it while I pour, but that's going to be okay. And then I got a fresh, clean paper towel so that I can keep checking the oil level because I don't want to overfill, and the documentation for this thing isn't precise. It doesn't tell you, hey, this is how much you need. We'll go to the spec sheets that you find online. And for the 125 millimeter oil pan, which is 4.92 inches, the D1105 turbo and non-turbo take 1.35 US gallons. There we go. We're going to cross-reference that with the manual that comes with the machine. 31, okay. So it says, I remember seeing it in here, air filter, fuel filters, fuel water separator, oil change intervals, okay? So initial 50 hours, but Kymron wants us to do it at 10. So we're doing it at 10, that's fine. There's the oil drain pan. Now we need to figure out how much oil goes in it. I know there's a specification section, I found that. We'll go back here a couple of pages to the specifications. All right, specifications. Let's see. Lubricant CF or above. Boy, I thought it'd be easier to find in this one. Sure, I'm just overlooking it. Go back to page 31. Man, antifreeze, fan belt, checking fuel pipes, cleaning the filter pot, oil change intervals, yes. So oil pan depth, okay, so 4.9 inches. So this is not a KE4, this is just a D1105 E4 because the oil pan is 4.9 inches or above. Add engine oil to the upper limit of the oil gauge. So that is awesome. So we're going to say we'll go with our other manual, which is about 1.3 gallons. Okay, so we're going to start with our first one here. Fresh, clean, mobile Delvac, heavy duty engine oil. It's starting to make its way through the cylinder head down to the oil pan. You can hear it in the oil pan. Holding this funnel helps make sure that it doesn't slip out and make a bigger mess than it did to drain it. Yeah, all this oil these days says it recommends it's good enough for 1.5 times manufacturer's recommended drain interval. I don't know, man. My grandfather always taught me clean oil, clean fuel, and clean air makes a diesel very happy. And I've got 300,000+ miles on my Power Stroke 7.3, and it gets a 3,500 mile oil change. It's expensive, right? But hey, it gets that, and it's got clean air, clean fuel, clean oil, and that truck runs great. No blow-by, no codes on the engine. Runs great. Well, we're on the stick. Look at that. Yeah, so just a little bit more. Clean oil too on the stick. All right, we'll let that run down there. We just got to be careful, right? Now we're to the point where we got to figure out what 0.3 gallons is. So to help me know where I'm at, I'm going to set the oil here. Look at the level. And I'm going to mark the level. Because that way I can come back and check and double check and ensure that I don't overfill this motor with oil. I'm going to check our oil level with the dipstick. Once I get the hang of what that looks like, I can mark a jug and then I'll be good to go. I can just pour it in that jug and fill it up and go from that every time. right, give that a second to drain down into there. So I tell you that the 10-hour oil change really hinders your ability to buy the machine and go use it and try it, because all I'm doing is watching that gauge tick up, a little bit more, another hour, another half hour, another whatever. It's like, oh my goodness. So getting this oil change done, now I'm good for 100 hours. So that's going to be nice. Just so you know, over here in the corner, this is your electronic fuel pump. So it's got power going to it. That's your fuel pump. It runs up here into this fuel filter. It comes out of the tank into an oil water or a fuel water separator through the suction pump. Then the pump sucks it and pushes it up here to the fuel filter. Then the fuel filter pushes it down to the engine, so that way you have clear oil or clear fuel. My suggestion is, you know, after you change this fuel filter, you want to cycle the engine without starting it, but you just want to turn it on and listen to that fuel pump run. It's a constant pump. It's not an on-demand pump. It's like when you turn the power on, it's like brrrr, that's your fuel pump. And so let that go, and that'll give it time to fill that up. And that'll give you an opportunity. A Power Stroke 7.3 is the same way. It has an electric pump on it. But the difference is that after it has, after you cycle it, it cuts off after so many seconds if you don't fire the truck. So when you change a fuel filter on your Power Stroke 7.3 diesel, not that new gas thing, when you change it on your diesel, then you cycle your engine 3 or 4 times. It'll fill up your fuel bowl and you're good to go. Okay, so it said fill your oil to the upper limit. I am at the upper limit now, which is where it was before we drained the oil. So I'm not going to add any more oil to this. But what I am going to do is I'm going to fire the engine up, and then we're going to turn around and let it's got to prime the filter, right? So that's going to suck some oil out. It's got to, you know, go through everything again, and then we'll check it after it cools down. And I bet we might need to add a cup of oil, because that fuel filter is not, or that oil filter is not very big. Clean this off before we stick it back on. Don't want anything getting in there. All clean. Okay. Now what I didn't do before we started this whole thing is I didn't show you the hour meter for proof that I'm under 10 hours. So let me move you back here. I'll show you that hour meter, and we'll have proof that I'm under 10 hours for my first oil change. All right. Okay, we've got that. Let me get you here off. All right, looking right through there at that gauge. So got this. I'm going to turn on glow plugs. 8.1 hours. You guys see that right there? Okay, let me make sure I can get you where you can see 8.1 hours. 8.1, there we go. Okay, start it up. noticed, the oil pressure light came on right at the beginning because it was repriming the system, so the sensor officially didn't see oil until it passed through the filter. And since you can't pre-fill that filter because of its angle of going on the side of the motor, you just got to be very careful. So you want to make sure you don't start the engine at high RPMs. You want to give it a minute here. That oil pump is working. It's cycling the oil through the engine right now. Just let it do that. And then once we let it go, we'll let it cool a minute, sit after we turn it off. We'll check that oil one more time and see our level. Add if we need to add. Like I said, probably a cup of oil, maybe a cup and a half, only because we're basically filling up the filter. And then from that point, oil change complete. Done at 8.1 hours. Today is May 7th, 2025. I purchased the machine on April 7th, 2025. I put a total of 7.1 hours on the machine since I purchased it. Sorry, most of my time has been spent in here welding, making my own attachments. But now that this oil change is done, we can actually go put this machine to work and put out some content seeing what a Kymron XTL30 is capable of doing. So let's just give this a minute. We'll let it keep cycling like this. Let that oil just flow through the system. I'm going to get down and check for any leaks at the drain plug. See if we have any drips. Hopefully not. And with that, we'll say we have a successful first oil change at 8.1 hours on May 7th, 2025 for a Kymron XTL30 with a Kubota D1105 motor. Good news, because we pulled that little vanity off, we can get a picture of the maker information on the two drive motors. I've got a little bit of bad news if you have to replace a drive motor. The 4 bolts, they're hex cap screws. Those 4 bolts are on the inside down here, which means you've got to pull that vanity plate off with the machine in the air to get in there and break loose those 4 bolts. They're not from the outside. So if you were to pull the track off, you were to pull the gear wheel off, the track gear, there are no bolts there that you can take out to remove the motor. You've got to take the bolts off from the inside of the engine bay and then pull the motor out to the side. That's going to be a pain in the butt if you ever have to do that. Just know it. So we're learning more. I'll get some details on these drive motors now that we can see the maker's mark, and hopefully it'll help us know where to get parts if we need them. I don't know if you can hear, but the engine settled down, right? So it's got a very even sound. You don't have any high-pitched noise. There's nothing abnormal. The idle is normal, very smooth. And so that's what I want to hear, especially out of a brand new Kubota diesel motor. Bring the RPMs up, very smooth. Just so you know, the fan blade, just so you know, is sucking air from the outside here and pulling it into the engine bay to blow it across the motor. So it's not blowing heat out, it's sucking cool air in and then blowing it out the front vents of covering the motor. Because when you stand right there, you can feel it. I don't have any hair, but if I did, you'd see it flowing in the wind. Okay, I hit 8.2 hours. So just in this little bit of time, it rolled from 8.1 to 8.2. I'm gonna kill the machine, let it drain down. We'll check the oil one last time and top it off if we need it. Idle's all the way down. You really don't want to kill any motor, but you don't want to kill a diesel engine whenever it's at a high idle. You got a lot of mass. You got a lot of rotational velocity. And you don't want to kill that engine if it's at high idle. So we're going to give that a minute. Got a little warmth on it. I'll get all the photos I can off of the parts in here. Now, what's interesting is there is a kit. The Kubota side-by-side uses a D1105, and there is a dipstick relocation that extends the dipstick because the bed and the way that is designed, it's hard to get to the oil dipstick. So they make a kit that will relocate it. I don't know if it's helpful. They also have this same engine in a T version, which is turbo. So it's got a little turbo over here that will give you a little extra oomph in your giddy up with it. All right, let's see. Heat's not too bad. Let's pull this out. With clean oil, it's so hard to see where it's at on the dipstick because it's almost translucent. Dripping off? Yeah, so I think we probably need about a cup or two of oil. And we're going to be there. So I'll put my dipstick right here. We're going to pull this cap off. Not very much. I mean, you're just on the cusp of full. We'll put our, did you see that oil drip out? Yuck. That's how you get a gummy, nasty engine. We're just going to do a very little bit of oil here, try and estimate a cup and two. All right, so we're going to let that drain in. We're going to call that good. I'll check it, obviously. Every time you go out to use your machine, you should always check your oil. Check, pull your dipstick, just look at it. Make sure first there's oil on the dipstick. If there's not, don't start your engine. That's a bad thing. If it's low, top it up, and then start looking, are you leaking oil? Do you have a lot of excessive white smoke coming out of your exhaust? Blue smoke, really. Oil's blue. Unburnt diesel fuel. When people roll coal, it's black. That's unburnt diesel fuel. Their pumps are turned up too high. It's putting more fuel into the chamber than what can efficiently burn, so it comes out as soot. And then white is coolant mixing in. That's really bad. That means you have a head gasket leak and your coolant is mixing with your fuel and it's burning the coolant in the combustion cycle. So those are all bad things. You don't want that to happen. Okay, check this one last time. There we go, at the upper limit of the bar. All right, so that is an oil change on a Kubota D1105 E2. I thought it was a K, it's not. That is a messy, messy process, just so that you know. Let's put this back on. If you ever have to change your glow plugs, they're real easy. Very easy to access. But anyway, all right. Well, everybody. Well, hey, I wanted to do this for a couple of reasons. For people that are maybe considering a Kymron XTL30, what's it take to maintain it with the Kubota engine? Obviously, don't know the Perkins. I'm assuming the Perkins has this filter mounted on the other side, so maybe it's easier. I don't know. Anyway, if you're looking at one of these with the Kubota, this is what it takes. We'll do ultimately more fuel or oil services, and when we do, we'll get better at it. We'll figure out how to make that less messy, because that is a mess. That is just horrible. But yeah, and I'll put links to all the information on the pumps and the motor that I found online in the description. That way, hopefully it helps you if you have this engine on some other piece of equipment, or if you buy a Kymron and you're thinking, well, where do I find the information on this? I'll have it. So anyway, thanks so much. Appreciate you guys joining me and watching and listening. Always happy to have any questions I can get answered. Hope everyone has a wonderful day, and take care. Thanks so much.